3, 2, 1. We should be live.
And welcome to episode 24 of the podcast, How Do You Know That with Robert Hollis. We are so glad to have you with us today. And before we get things going, if you are watching us on YouTube, please hit the like and share buttons as well. Yes, Universe. Also, please like and share this with friends and help us spread the word. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive community, the Inner Circle, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. There's going to be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special breakthrough sessions every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific to help you move to the next level. Today is episode 24 of How Do You Know That? And our topic is unleashing your potential, the power of habits. Now, let me introduce you to our host for today's show. He is an entrepreneurial evangelist renowned for his incredible achievements. He is also known for inspiring countless of individuals around the globe with his unwavering determination and spirit. And he has also helped 67 people as of this date become millionaires. Known as a mentor, GPS to success, and a dear friend, ladies and gentlemen, Robert Hollis.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Craig. Man, that never gets old. That never gets old. It still does. The ability to raise hair on my body, Craig. You're just amazing. So great to have you on here. And Matt, thank you so much for being on here. The guy behind the curtain in the Wizard of Oz.
More and more so. It feels that way more lately because you know how like in the Wizard of Oz he has like all those machines he's running.
Yeah.
And I feel like lately that's been me, right? Like as AI has grown, I can't even begin to describe to you guys how often I use AI now and
Wow.
how huge of a part of a workflow it is for me. And it actually like kind of inspired the thought of this podcast episode because talking about the power of habit, we can have good habits and bad habits, right?
Right.
And when your habit is something where you're like always you're like I have to do it this way to feel comfortable. Once you stop, I don't know, like I'm a perfectionist. So once I
Right.
stopped being that less and being like, I'm going to rely more on the people around me and rely more on AI and not be such a perfectionist. I can't even begin to describe to you guys how much of a significant growth we've had in the YouTube channel and how things have been going for us over the last week of uploading more shorts and more content. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and being there for us. We got a lot more coming. So
I mean, Matt, I just know it's like YouTube started out as me just realizing that I wasn't getting any really engagement anymore on Facebook. And so I made a commitment to do a video a day. I decided to do Facebook Lives. And everyone, here's the thing, you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
right.
And so you tell everyone that, pick out a consistent day, do a video every day, just keep getting better and better and gooder, and just keep doing that. And nobody wants to do it.
Yes. Yeah. I
And
know.
so I wouldn't have done a year on Facebook and then look at it and seen what it did and what it created, and then made a decision to do it about a year ago. It was like August, I believe, July or June or August, and then jump in and say, no, I'm going to go to YouTube. And I can remember having the conversation with Matt and just saying, listen, I'll do a video every day on YouTube, and we'll look back in a year and see where we are. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel like this platform has definitely given us and that's going to continue to grow and grow. Just having the ability to reach more people and make an impact on more people. I'm excited about it, and also being able to kind of dive back into the vault of Robert Hollis content that we've had through the years and kind of pull some like the really good nuggets and stuff
You
from
you
that so people get
you've
to
been talking
re-experience
about
them.
this for how long?
No, I know. It's been a bit. And I think like, you know, it always came down to there was always like this bottleneck, right? Between my desires and what I would like to do and the amount of work to get to that place. I think I work really, really good at being like a dream dude. Like I can come up with ideas, I can come up with plans and execute them. But when it requires like 5 other people to be working under me, but then
Yes.
those 5 other people don't exist,
Yes.
right? Then I'm in that
Mhm.
situation where I'm like, I have to do all 5 of those jobs. And it just, the perfectionist in me, it just takes so long to do each one of them right. And especially to learn them. So
Well, no,
as,
you're talking about the main issue that everyone has. It's the
right,
inability of looking at the time and effort that a person has to put in. And when you talk about putting time and effort in to creating a new habit, as soon as you decide to do that, there's another word that comes behind that. There's another word that comes behind that, and another word that comes behind
right,
that, which are words we don't like. Let me tell you what they are. So we put the time. If I put this much time in and this much effort and maybe even money, is it going to generate the lifestyle that I'm looking for? Well, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to sacrifice something.
yeah,
Mhm.
Oh my God, I'm going to have to be disciplined. I'm going to have to make a commitment and be disciplined to do it all day, all day, all day. Because if I get excited about this, then I'm going to put different parts of my life on hold because I like mastering this. And yeah, just don't start it.
yeah. Especially if you know, like you're an obsessive, right? Like which I tend to be, right? When I'm involved in something, whether it's a video game, I'm like the person that will theory craft ways to do things with numbers and stuff, or try to figure out different strategies. I just, that's where my brain is like stimulated, right?
Right.
And so being able to try things and research things and iterate on things so quickly with artificial intelligence has like, I keep seeing the door open wider and wider, and I'm just so excited about everything. Like, I wake up
Because
with
I
optimism,
believe
so
I believe that because we did this habit, it started generating income that allowed us to be able to have Craig help us.
right,
And now
Mhm.
the channel's generating revenue. And now we go, wow, what if we brought on, you know, Corky, Santa, and we raised money for him? And what if we brought on Ron Henley and we raised money for him? And then why
Matthew and
not just
Angel,
raise money for Jesus Way, you know, with
right,
Angel and Matthew? All of a sudden, because you were committed in doing something over a period of time, it all of a sudden will the story of the bamboo tree, right? It's like I don't know the exact words to it, but no one wants to have that forefront thinking that if I
right.
do this habit every day, that when the pendulum swings, when the Vaseline teeter totter flips, you know what I mean? You got to watch my other videos to know what the hell I'm talking.
That's it. That's it.
It's like when when that happening, the tipping point happens, then everybody says, "Wow, Matt, it was like overnight. You started cranking out 6 and 7 and 8 and 10,000 views. How do you get to that 10,000 views?"
Uh,
So
it honestly, yeah, I know.
you don't
It's the
want to say,
overnight
"Well,
success thing.
when YouTube started, my dad got a free account, and what he did is he didn't believe in himself. He didn't make it a commitment to doing his own content. He thought it was too difficult. He came up with every fucking excuse in the world. And when he did that, he started putting up other people's content. And so overnight, one day, everyone flagged his account because there was stuff on there that was copywritten, and the channel got taken away.
Yeah, you
Uh,
got burned.
Yeah, so that's what happened to Ron Henley.
Right.
That's what happened to Joss Wegel's Facebook account. He doesn't have a personal Facebook account anymore. It's like all of a sudden weirdness happens and it gets taken away. Well, if there's any reason to abandon YouTube, it's after these assholes shut your channel down.
Right.
That'd be a good time to abandon YouTube. No, I was pissed off for about a week and then I started loading up my own content. Wasn't committed to it. But this was probably, I think if you guys went to the YouTube channel right now and clicked on the information under the links, I bet you we started it in 2012. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
now it's time to start over, right? But no commitment to it, whatever. But the thing that I started doing is when I did Facebook lives every day, I started downloading those and uploading them to YouTube. And we didn't come on here to sell you anything on YouTube. I'm just saying we started talking about what could be possible. And I remember waiting, I don't know, it was 3 months, maybe 6 months before the channel actually could be monetized because you need X amount of friends and subscribers. You need
Watch
X amount
time.
of views. You need X amount of likes and stuff. You can't be someone fake. And then we made it through there. And then all of a sudden we make like $60. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it just keeps going up and going up and going up. And I don't remember, but I think we made $4,000 or something like that before the end of last year.
Yeah, I mean, what's so interesting about YouTube, right, is even if you think about it back then, right, when you were burned by it, it's so exponentially different than it was then.
Everything. Please explain.
Yeah, I've watched, I think for a while Facebook groups were like a really big deal, not that they're still not, but
They're not.
in building a sense of like community, right? On a social media platform. And you think about different platforms, right? Like Instagram, you can build a following and be an influencer. Twitter, someone can follow your tweets and hear your opinions live on things. And you're thinking about these different avenues, right? To build a sense of community and watching kind of Facebook kind of lean more into advertising and less more into data selling than anything. Not that Google doesn't do that as well with YouTube, but I've watched YouTube exponentially turn and go, how do we continue to add tools that make it easy to build a community over here? Whether
Yeah.
it's the lives, whether it's the shorts, whether it's the community posts or anything like that, even memberships, right? And
Right.
so I think that that stuff's just going to continue to get better and better. But what it does allow you to do is constantly check in with people. I know people that look forward every day to seeing you live at noon. And it like is one of their highlights of their day that they're looking forward to. And to think that we're building this community here and some of those people a few months ago, we didn't even know them. We don't,
Right.
there's just constantly new people. It is very exciting because you can see kind of me being more data analytics driven um, watching the growth of it and seeing where it's growing is really interesting to me.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's
Prior
cool.
prior to this, prior to this, I was on a Zoom with Corky, and everything's blowing up so fast with Corky. He's almost at 2 million people following him.
Right. I was checking that the
That's
other day. Yeah.
awesome.
And so he's actually hired a couple of people.
Hmm.
And so Corky, being the kind of guy he is, he says, I would love you to share in the inner circle, and we will tomorrow night, if you're part of that. Corky was just sharing that he wouldn't be where he is today if he didn't reconnect with me. He just reached out and reconnected with me. And, some of you are going to probably be upset by this next statement, but, I believe in loving people so much that I really talked him out of focusing on MDC. For some of you that are in the inner circle, you'll totally understand this. So he was trying to be a juggler, and all I did is got him to talk about the thing that he loved doing most. And he just loved people believing that he could take them away from all their ugliness
Hmm.
and they could just spend some time with Santa.
Yeah, no, I mean, what a like
Yeah.
a very heartfelt thing. Like
Oh, and then
Corky's one of those guys that's go ahead. Sorry.
no, I'm sorry. And then of course he just became a super
Oh,
chatter on
thank you,
Oh
chat.
my
Corky.
gosh, Corky,
I
thank you.
yeah, $99 going to the orphans. But me and Corky were talking back and forth. And that's where I think everybody really misses it is no one really wants to understand that the people that have good habits today are people that had really bad habits a long time ago. So I
Mhm.
know I'm going to take a little tangent here, and Craig and Nat,
Please.
I hope you don't mind. But
Go for it.
we're talking about. I was telling him that he says, I just want the inner circle to know that you keep manifesting and you keep dreaming about where you're going to go, and all of a sudden you almost got 2 million people. A person reached out to him. They're going to do a movie deal. Uh, uh, Corky's got, people that he's paying full time and he wants to make sure they're taken care of. So he's asking questions like, how do you incorporate and how do you give them shares in your dreams so it'll go on after you? I mean, and Corky's going, I just always feel like I'm messing up. And I said, it's because you're not focusing on the person that got you there. You keep thinking of other things because the world is to try to get you distracted from focusing on what's most important. And just to listen to you guys, we were laughing because I was telling him that, what ends up happening in life is that people can't get away from those distractions. So I was telling him, Judge Judy was just doing a show, and this lady said, she goes, why would you pay $900 a week for a rent-a-car? And she says, well, and she said, why didn't you go to Avis? Why didn't you go to Hertz? And she said, well, they won't rent me cars anymore. And she said, so you already mistreated them and owe them money, so they won't rent you a car anymore. Yeah. And she says, I was desperate. And that's now why you're paying $900 for a rent-a-car, because you're at high risk. And I was telling Corky this because me and him have been bold and vulnerable with our upbringing, right? And we were laughing that we're going to Finger Hut. Finger Hut is this thing that will allow you to pay payments on everything, and everyone knows when you buy stuff out of Finger Hut, it's 4 times the cost. Everything is 4 times. So
It's like payday loans.
this is $3, but if you buy it at Finger Hut, it's 40. You get to make $3 monthly payments. And
Including the interest.
right. And I was telling him at times, me and him were laughing. We got on this whole thing because, neither one of us were bankable. So you can't get a bank account because you overdraw on the account, you would never pay it. So the banks won't give you an account anymore. And we were just laughing about where we used to be. And it's
Mhm.
because we didn't have any good habits. We had a lot of bad habits. Our baddest habit was procrastination, putting everything off, just saying, this is not going to end up being a problem. No, it compounds. And now there's a whole ecosystem built around people with bad habits.
Of course.
The pay loan places that will give you a loan because you already spent the money from last week and you can't make it till Friday. So you got to go borrow from a loan shark. And next to the loan shark, when you get the money, is a liquor store with some lottery tickets. Come on, you guys. If you're not paying attention that when you have bad habits, there's a whole ecosystem around people that make bad decisions.
No, I mean that's like there's certain levels of like risk assessment that smart business people tend to it goes back to that old saying of like it's good to invest in like mortuaries and stuff like that because people are always going to keep dying. So that's a good
Right.
business to stay involved in. And it's like it might sound morbid, but someone's got to do it, right? And I think
Yes.
that's the interesting thing, right? Is if if someone wants to do something with their life or be involved in something, and it doesn't hurt others, I think it's fine. But it is really, really cool to see someone like Corky get bigger and bigger in the social media sphere, because it's one of those situations where you see someone and you're like, man, that person deserves it. If anyone deserves to be in front of people that would do good, it's this person. And so to see that just it warms my heart, warms Hannah's heart to my wife, because she follows him as well. And it is really, really cool to see him growing. And hey, if he gets movie deals out of it and stuff, I can't
And
wait to
one
watch
day,
that movie wherever it is. So
and one day, me and him were just talking about a couple other things that now the more you make, like watching the stuff I've been saying, the documentary of Sylvester Stallone, it's like the more you grow and the more you become and step into who you're supposed to be, not breaking bad habits, it's just replacing bad habits with good habits. And so what you do is you're spending more time focused on who you're going to help and who you're going to impact by being a better person than constantly being self-centered and thinking it's all about me. And so none of this stuff is blink your eyes and it's like Genie, you do it with the nose and then bing, you got it. Yeah. It's an awareness, and then constantly doing something like reading, the God Memorandum every night before you go to sleep, through Og Mandino's book, or doing meditation, or learning a new language, doing something that if you just did it a little bit each and every day and not have unrealistic expectations while you're doing this habit, that it needs to happen in 2 weeks or 30 days. They always had this magic thing around 100 days. I don't know who had ever thought about that 100 days,
Yeah.
So, but
you needed a number, so they came up with one.
Well, they originally came up with 21 to change a habit, but I think, the 100 is probably better, because then it's solidified.
Yeah.
You're mastering, as you like to say, Robert, the mundane, because that's what it takes to go from to change a habit that you've been doing for how many years?
What are some of the I don't want you guys, I mean, you could tell on yourself, but what are some of the bad habits that you guys feel like you've had that really maybe took more than one attempt to stop?
the one that I'm still trying to break.
And how did you? Yeah. And
the one I'm still trying, I will say, I got to change my language. I'm not going to try anymore. I will eliminate my negative self-talk. That must be where the monks talk about the ultimate level, whatever level that's supposed to be, transcendent or whatever. I still have self-talk and negative self-talk, and I still have my ego hijacking my day. It's not as long as it used to, because I used to be yours. just look at the.
And then you wake up and you snap out of it. You're like, wait a minute.
My nights were spent. My nights are spent and days spent dreaming about how to take other people's stuff. I would never make enough money to afford it, but thank God these people have insurance. What a stupid way to think, So I knew what I wanted. Most people don't know what they want.
No one taught you how,
Right.
Like, it's one of those interesting things how, obviously me and you are very alike, but we're different because our upbringings are different, right? So like, I growing up having you as a father went, I want that. And you went, you need to work to get that. And I'm like, what do I need to do?
I'll never forget though, one time, I think it was just recently too, Matt, I'm telling on you, but it's care. Like, I go, what is this VIPN or VIP or whatever? And Matt's going, oh, that's a virtual IP where you put your IP everywhere, anywhere. And I said, really? And he goes, oh yeah, we use this. Me and Kyle all the time use this to steal stuff off the internet.
Right. Yeah, VPN, right.
And I go, what? And he went, well, there's certain movies we couldn't watch.
When you stopped, when you stopped getting those emails from the internet provider, that happened about the same time I invested in a VPN. No, I'm just kidding. When I was a teenager. Now I just subscribe to every fucking thing out there, and so I just end up having everything I want. But but now it's funny.
That's still mine is
Yeah.
negative self-talk.
I mean, that's a huge one.
Yeah.
Because it always evolves, right? It always turns into like a different monster over time. Like at certain parts of your life, that negative self-talk could be about you as a partner. Be like, man, I'm just not fulfilling the needs of my relationships. Or it could be your business. I'm not spending enough quality time in my business to think about what's next or what I want to do next with it and stuff. Because I think, even when we started talking about YouTube in the beginning, for the first time in a bit, I guess I'm thinking more forward and not, there's a lot that you can learn from research, and there's a lot of things that you can learn from documented people. And I love that. But at some point, my brain runs haywire on that stuff and goes, what if you did this? What if you did that? What if you tried this? What if you tried that? And I know everyone does that. And Dad, you sometimes especially talk against this, right? Don't mess with the process. And I think one of the interesting things about what I do, since it tends to lean so far into the creative aspects, and I enjoy that about it, is it does give me the freedom to kind of experiment with those ideas and see how it is.
Right.
Man, the biggest habit change for me, talking about the negative self-talk, Dad, is just not being such a perfectionist and needing everything. I feel like it's less important to me that what I make be a reflection of who I am, and it just stands on its own. Because before, when I would make things, it's almost like a reflection. It's a reflection of me, right? This gets the matte stamp seal of approval, and everyone's going to know that, right? And so this needs to be the best of my capabilities. Well, if you're a perfectionist and the best of your capabilities is spending weeks editing a video, adding because I know what my capabilities are, that slows down the process quite a bit. And that's all to stop that fear of failure, that habit of failure,
Thank you.
fear that like it won't go well if I don't make sure. And then you let that go. And
the real-time thing, I don't mind sharing this with people. But the real-time thing that I've seen a difference in you, Matt, is when you made that decision that I'm going to learn by doing, and I don't care what other people say, and it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm going to figure it out as it goes. I just need to do something. When I seen that shift in you, and you started doing that, so we went on average of having 400 views on our videos a day, to in the last week probably having more views than we've had in the last year.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've seen you do is you create stuff and you put it up, and you create stuff and you put it up. And I know how much you change, and I'm saying to the world how proud I am of you.
It's sweet.
How proud I am of you. Because now we have Craig looking at your videos and going, man, yeah, you could sure do a better job on that editing. And
which
Craig
is funny because that's the thing me and Craig always related with.
Are you sure about this title? And Matt's just going, listen, I'm just going to throw up 7 videos and see if we get more views and more subscribers.
If you guys have noticed the titles of things changing all the time, that's because I'm looking at the analytics and going, no one's watching it. I need to change it.
Craig's like, listen, the quality's going way down. It's going way down.
No, he's not saying that.
No, not completely. But you know what though? In a sense, I'm actually kind of been the voice of, for lack of a better saying, voice of the past in the sense, because we are moving forward. Now, I don't mean that in the bad sense of the word, because this is what, we've done. And here is the change of the habits.
So
this
Craig,
is what we've done to get to this point.
Perfectionist are you?
I'm sorry?
How much of a perfectionist are you?
Oh my God. I have been a perfectionist for a very long
me and Craig,
time.
Me and Craig share the I'm gonna go ahead and make notes before I do this thing, so I have all of this stuff down before I start.
Exactly.
Craig,
you know, that's just
yeah. So the universe, whatever you guys believe, throws two guys that are breaking their perfectionism to a guy that
Oh
just like
gosh.
a total fly by
yeah.
his pants, man.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
like
Oh yeah.
been honestly
it's
like my
just
work
grab on the
relationship.
I'm
Go ahead,
like,
Dad. Sorry.
let's just grab on the rubber band and jump off. And it's like,
Mm.
can't we get like a safety rope? Do we have to jump?
Right.
And I'm going like, see you guys down there.
Well, okay, since you brought it up, Robert, I mean, yes, that is one of the things that I have been changing my habit
There
a
we
little bit
go. I knew it'd come
because,
back.
yeah, because, okay, now obviously, the three of us are working together to make this as much of a success as we possibly can. And with the introduction of AI, with some of the classes that we have been taking and following, and it is changing our mindset, and we are seeing the benefit. And okay, yes, this is the way that it was, but at the same time, being open to that change and seeing what the benefits have become. Matt, when I see where these videos are going and how it's exponentially expanding what it is that we do, this is very, very exciting. And so it does change my habit of being
Hey,
the absolute perfectionist
yeah,
that I was.
when Matt's giving Craig, 4 to 7 videos a day saying, "Hey, Craig, this is the videos you can put on the other social network," and Craig is going like, ah.
Well,
And
yeah, it just allows. I don't know. Like, I think one of the cool things about it is it just allows. It's not that perfectionism still doesn't exist. I'm sure with Craig too, it always will. It's an aspect of who I am,
Yes.
and I think it's just more so now. I'm leaning. It's not that I'm not allowing myself to do it, because if I wasn't allowing myself to do it, then there'd be even more content out than there is.
Mhm.
But I think I took my focus off of where that I guess I narrowed my perfectionism instead of allowing it to be so broad through my life, right?
Mhm.
Like, just
Good.
allow myself to let my brain and creativity run wild in these areas, and then in these other areas allow that to happen, but then go, when it's done, and I'm doing 5 to 6 shorts a day. So if they're not done by 4 o'clock, then I've done something wrong, right? So, like, that's a new habit. It's like, I'm just going to do these. The sooner I get the right content out there and they get views, and I know what, and I can dial down on it, the faster we'll grow, the more better I'll get at it, and then it'll just become easier and easier. Because
Yep.
that's anything
Yes.
that you learn, right? And I guess one of the habits that I had that Dad, you talk against too, is it's like, I will take so much information and have so much information before I start iterating on the information and implementing it.
Right.
And I tend to do that so then I don't, like, walk through a forest of darkness and get lost. Like, I just like to know where I'm going. Um, but when you do that, here's something that I learned, very valuable. When you do that to yourself, what you're really doing is stopping the ability to grow faster. Like, if all I'm doing is taking the time to learn the best methods and then try my best to implement those, instead of implement what I know and iterate on it as I'm growing and learning, right? Like you said, sitting down and doing a video, right? A video a day, Dad. If you thought about the lighting, if you thought about how the shot's supposed to be, what you're gonna say, the editing, all these things, you might not sit down. But
Right.
if you just go, "This inspires me, I wanna sit down and share it with people,"
Right.
and you just got yourself in the groove, that disappears eventually. It really does, right? Like,
Mhm.
it
Well,
disappears,
you don't
the
think about it
voice.
at all. When before I did a YouTube channel, me doing the research, because I do, Matt. It's like I really wanted to find, like I tell everybody in my training, find a documented person that's going to show you their documentation, and then also see the documentation of that person helping other people get results. And so when I was doing my research, that's how I found Evan Carmichael.
Right.
Now, here's when you know that you get focus on what you're supposed to do with your life. Ask me when's the last time that I went to Evan Carmichael's YouTube channel.
Right.
If someone could say to me, well, if you learn from him, once he taught me a few things that I said, oh, that's it. I started focusing on those. And I said, when I run out of doing these, like the 2 thoughts, I don't mind sharing them with you guys, is the first one is people have an 8-second attention span. So you better change the way you do your beginning of your video. So that's why I changed doing that video. Me, I have the ability not to overthink stuff. Just know that this guy said it for a reason. And so I did that. The second one was show the process of what you do. And so when I started, doing that with Mary Vernicek and Joshua and Coach Joshua, I thought, why show my process? Why not show the process of what everybody's trying to do? Now I know what it is. See, so if someone won't watch Joshua and Joshua's and Mary's video and don't become a 1K, it wasn't from my lack of not telling them.
Do you think when you when you have those thoughts, Dad, do you think that then that kind of gives you, because I know this is something, talking about habits and stuff, you used to be really connected to outcome when you were helping people instead of connected to your message specifically. Like, it's not like that didn't exist, but you just wanted to help people a lot. And through us working together, this is one of those things that I've seen you grow exponentially in, more confident, not just in what you're sharing, but then going, it'll affect the people that it needs to, and the people that aren't listening, it's fine.
Yeah, me and Corky were talking about that today. See, that would be something that I realized that I was doing, which is a habit. If everyone looked up the definition of habit while we're on here, to me, a definition of a habit, because it doesn't say good or bad before it, it's just something that you consistently do. I consistently chew my nails. And I think that people mentally don't realize how powerful our brains are. Because when people say that they're addicted to stuff, you're saying that out loud. So your brain says, I'm addicted to this stuff. And people go, I don't believe that. I sat down with a guy that was one of the most successful people that I know, that I ever met. And he looked across at me and he goes, wow, what other things that you do that you can't control? And I looked at him and I said, what are you talking about? And he says, you chew your nails. What other things do you do consistently to sabotage your life that you feel like you have no control over? Holy yeah.
No, that messes with you for sure, because then you start to, I don't know, like, I'm already such a analyzer of myself, to the 10th degree. That was like something I had to really work on in therapy, is that there's always like that outrunning thing in myself. And maybe this is something that I get from you, Dad, but that I'm going to prepare myself knowledgeably ahead of time for any outcome. So therefore, if the outcome happens, I'll be ready for it.
Right.
Instead of accepting the process of life, which is you're never going to be ready for the outcome, because you're never going to be able to predict what it is, like completely. Right. And the way that you'll feel about it, if you put yourself in those moments, you can visualize to accomplish something. But to say that you feel the exact same way when you're there, it goes back to that conversation you have about planning a vacation and going, right? Like, the excitement of going can be enough, right? To like really get you going, So
when that guy said it to me, he was a billionaire. His name was Phil Fisher. And I stopped chewing my fingernails that moment. That statement impacted me so much that it got me to think, I'm not chewing my fingernails again. And people say, well, you can't break a bad habit. No, what I did is I replaced it with a good habit.
That's something that's something that Abraham Hicks does in saying, when you watch her videos,
Yeah.
that, instead of dwelling on that bad habit and changing that bad habit, start making incremental moves to changing it to a good habit.
Mhm.
I asked myself straight out. I said, why do I chew my nails? Nervous, anxious, fearful. Just I'm just AD and out. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know when I never chew my nails? When I was focused on building something. When I was focused on creating something.
Right.
So I had to change my mind from worrying and thinking about things in the past that could duplicate in the future. See, I spent all my time thinking about that. And that's when we usually try to stop that. And you could do it with nails or smoking or alcohol or sex or porn. I don't know, plug something in. So if there's these things that you're constantly addicted to, it's not that you need to be a bully. Again, stop being a fucking bully.
Right.
Stop beating yourself up. Stop feeling guilty. So what we do is we don't do it. We procrastinate, part of a habit, into now I feel guilty because I didn't do it. Then I beat the shit out of myself and shame myself because I know what to do. I just didn't do it again for another half a day, another week, another month. It's like, wow. All right. So I tell people if they read this book and just do the assignment, that you know where I think the real miracle comes from? You patting yourself on the back saying, I did a freaking 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm.
did something powerful for myself. I made a commitment. I was disciplined and I fucking pulled it off.
Yep.
That's where it happens. What happens, and internally you go, what else could I do for 20 minutes a day for 100 days in a row?
Yeah.
Could I listen to The Science of Getting Rich? Could I get my best at memorizing the principles of that? What if I could do that? What if I could listen to Earl Nightingale's The Secret, The Strangest Secret every day, just for 100 days? What if I could just do that? See, and what you do is you start instead of beating the fuck out of yourself, you start rewarding yourself.
Mhm.
You start going, oh my God, I could do that. And then maybe I could do a little bit of meditation. Wait, I know this is a big thought. This is huge. This is huge. But what if I could take more than one principle and do them? So, what if I got up in the morning and did my morning ritual? And I also prayed, and I also did a half hour of meditation. And then I also did my meditation at night. And then I also did my video at 12 Pacific. All of a sudden, you start adding all these little tiny things together, and it makes you look so fucking extraordinary
Mm-hmm.
You're
above,
so right. Yeah.
above all the average people that are really not doing anything special. They're just not doing anything. They're not
Got
doing
it.
anything.
Right.
They're not working on their heart. They're not working on their mind. They're not working on multiple skills. If I do one, what if I added one? What if I did two? What if I added one? Now all of a sudden it's like, man, did you hear what happened to the news? No, you don't watch the news? Holy shit. I didn't even know that I'm not watching the news anymore. See, I don't think that's a conscious decision of beating the shit out of yourself. See,
Mhm.
you could say, oh my God, I listen to the news and I watch reality TV and I know I watch stupid shit and stupid podcasts and I know I do this stuff. So I got to stop that stuff. That's bad stuff. And your brain goes, fuck off. That's stupid. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Hey, Let's
Yeah.
let's let's see how many reality shows we can watch in a row. Let's get after this. You know what I mean? And
Well,
then
that's the thing. Yeah. That balance is like the key to life to a certain extent, isn't it? Like you have to balance the trash with the good. And you got to allow yourself to, because like I do meet people, and there are people out there that are on the other side. They're like very fearful of ever dipping into the trash shit. Maybe they
yeah,
had issues with it, maybe they had addictions with certain things. I get it. I understand. Um, but it is really, really interesting because you can start to become fearful of messing up eventually too, and that be the thing you focus on while you're doing well. So I think it's so important with what you're saying, Dad, to acknowledge that you are stringing more and more things together. What was that? Jerry Seinfeld had this thing that he said that he did that was very, very like interesting. He would buy a calendar, and then every single day when he wanted to do something or create a habit, he would cross out the calendar of the day that he did it. And his goal was to make a chain link fence, almost like every single
yeah,
day had to have those crosses and don't break the chain. The chain should go all the way across. That means you have to
Mm-hmm.
do it every single day. And that doesn't need to be the same amount every day. It just needs to happen.
right.
And that's the thing about the mind is like, as we're training artificial intelligence and building this new world that we're going to live in, it is a massive reflection on who we are, because we really do build things in our own image,
Right.
almost like, that's just the way we are. So when you see that and you go, how are they training AI? How are they teaching it? How are they teaching it the fundamentals of what's right and what's wrong? How are they teaching it and training it how to be and react to these certain things? The same way you teach us,
It
Yes.
is. The
because
same
we're
way you
so
train
imprinted in it.
same way you train an animal.
Exactly. So when you deal with
Yep.
bad habits and good habits, right? What you said, Dad, is so true. It's really replacing a good habit or a bad habit with a good habit. You really have to, instead of going, I'm going to stop doing this thing, just replace it with something else. Okay, normally I have a beer or two at night to chill out after work. Instead of having those beers, I'm going to take my dogs on a walk. That's exercise, that's energy. It gets me out of the house. That's so much better of a calm down than it is to do the other thing. And
Right.
then you just slowly start to replace it, and before you know it, your whole routine revolves around that happening, to the point that your dog's jumping at you going, "We're going now." Right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I love that, because you really do start to see these individual changes in your life happen. And then, like you said, Dad, you start to have your shit together, and the people around you notice it more, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, I've noticed you really got your shit together lately." And you're like, not only can you be proud of yourself, but it's also like, yeah, but I did it piece by piece, exactly like you said. And that's really how it
It's like a
works.
Yeah.
domino falling, and no one wants to admit when that first domino starts going, and then it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going, causes this ripple, right? We all know that happens in the negative
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
because we confess it. It's like, what else worse could come today? Like, wow, if there was a genie there that you just rubbed and the genie came out, I'm giving you 3 wishes. Is there something fucking worse than this? What else could possibly be worse than
This
that?
is what happens
Yeah.
after the
And
3
then it's
wishes are
like,
over.
this happens in threes. Same shit, different day.
Oh man, being superstitious too.
Oh,
That's an
And then
interesting one.
you just
yeah.
start compounding it, right? It's like, listen, nothing happens to people like me. You know what I mean? Because me and Matt were talking as we're building this, and like I talked about with Corky, it's like the other stuff that's going to come to you that you never were aware of, that's going to get you to stop. You know, and me and Matt were talking about it, even though I know the answer. I'm going, so now all these trolls are coming out on the YouTube channel saying stupid stuff.
Yep.
What am I supposed to do? And of course I know Matt said, just ignore it. Just go. And then last night they showed a commercial for Jimmy Kimmel, and he was talking to that Hispanic girl that's on Modern Family.
Sofia
Eva
Vergara.
Longo, yeah, Sofia
Yeah.
Vergara.
And they
Yeah.
were talking to each other on mean tweets that they took off other people's Twitter things.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's what was hilarious. They were getting pissed off at each other when all they're doing is reading somebody else's comments.
I mean, words are things, you know. It's interesting because I
Yeah.
feel like that's part of the aspect of getting in deep into acting too, right, Craig? Is you really have to put yourself there, so then when you're acting off somebody else, you're playing that character and taking those words and reacting to them in an
Oh,
emotional way.
absolutely.
So it's
Yeah.
like it's similar in that way where I mean, you really
And when
do
you
feel the things that people say to you, even though, and that you say to yourself, of course.
oh my
So,
gosh, when what you say to yourself is so big, and it's like, okay, and the thing that you teach Robert too is, okay, if you want to change, you got to do it step by step, but you got to move in that direction. And a lot of people don't want to change that habit, like you said earlier. We're so set on it. We're not stepping out of the box. With as an actor, you have to. You
Yeah.
have to be able to take a put yourself in that person's shoes. What would you, as that person, how would you react to what it is they're saying? Whether you're a villain, whether you're a hero, whether you're supporting, it doesn't matter. You have to be able to put yourself in there and say, this is how this person would react. And then it makes you think about, wait a minute, is this how I feel? Or is this
yeah,
how the person feels?
becomes
Maybe I'm
cathartic in a
Yeah,
way
it
for
does, and
certain
that's why there are a
aspects of
lot of
yourself.
yeah, that's why, you may see people who play opposite their type because they want to be able to see what it is like to be that person or to be
Right.
that type of individual. And then when they realize what it is, it's like, I don't know about if I really want to continue to do that. I mean, yes, you got to do it for the role, but afterwards, it is like you said, a catharsis because you
Mhm.
eventually uh what is it, realize how you feel, what it is that you've done over the years, and then to change it.
Yeah.
It does take, sometimes it takes a lot to become a better you from what you've done.
Mm. No, I mean, I that makes sense to me because it's like you have to almost, in certain situations, like, gas yourself up. I
Oh
love
yeah.
this one meme that I saw that it's like, the steps to becoming happy, and it said, "Step 1, wake up every morning and gaslight yourself." That's the only step. It's like every morning I have to tell myself, "This is amazing," right? But
Right.
Yep.
it's funny though, because you really can live a better life by doing that. I'm not talking about ignoring the bad, but I'm talking about more acknowledging the good, at least
But
making
just
it fifty-fifty,
focusing,
right?
yeah, before you create the ability to have imagination where you actually can see things in color, in motion happening, and you don't even have to shut your eyes. For some of you guys that want to know what real daydreaming is, that's daydreaming. It's like you got this vision in your head that's constantly rolling while you're actually watching everything else. You're still
Yes.
interacting. And I know that some of you go, I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, if you've never driven a car and then sometime during the time realized how long was I actually not here?
Like,
Yeah,
how long
'cause
was I
it's
drive, right?
unconscious
Yeah,
competent right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Right,
It's
yeah.
like it's like, oh my God, how long have I not been conscious? While you're. But I'm sorry for the light here. I don't know what to do.
I think it's
It's
that
adding a
backlight.
special effect.
It's
What?
that backlight behind you that's shining in. That means that so their camera's going towards that light.
Yeah, that's called sun.
Yes.
Okay.
It I'm he's just rocking an Instagram filter. What about it?
Oh, there we go.
the ener- the
Robert
energy.
is being found by the light.
Ta-da. So anyway, when you're trying to get into the light, you know, um, go
It's like a
toward the light. But we're talking about habits, and I put down here, when you put the X's on the calendar, I know you guys know that I didn't know that came from Jerry Seinfeld, but I've been teaching that forever. I tell people get a physical calendar and start creating that. But here's something that I think is very important for all of you to understand. You need more wins in your life. You really need more wins in your life. And so by finding little things that you can reduce to the ridiculous, where your mind doesn't say this is a waste of time.
Right.
Okay. So that might be a 10-minute walk after every meal. That could be my first thing when I started walking was I'm just going to walk around my yard. I'm just going to walk once around my yard. And it never changes where when you do something like that, your mind goes, well, since you're out here, why don't you at least go down a couple of houses? And it's like
You could do
this
it, right?
eating elephant one bite at a time. But there's another thing that I think is very important. If I asked you this question, because when you go from win to win to win to win, the reason that I know that our YouTube channel and our business and our impact, let's talk about what it really is. I just want to impact millions of people. That's all I want to do. So I'm just going to focus on that and try to outgive God and see what happens. And then everybody can make fun of me once I'm no longer here. It's like, but I'm going to live in my world and that's what I'm going to do. And so when you're focused on something like that, if I asked you this question, what would you answer? Give me something significant that you finished. When are you going to train yourself to finish stuff? Just finish something. Not, I watched every episode of Billions. That's not what I'm talking about. But yet you can watch on social media. There's got to be badges or something, Matt, that they're gamification on this, right? Hey, I watched every episode of Breaking Bad. I net binge. When was the last time that you seen anyone post, oh my God, I just finished my 73rd time of going through the book, The Greatest Secret in the World?
Yeah, I mean, it's
You know what I mean?
definitely
It's like, yeah, because everyone would go, why'd you post that? That's a fucking total waste of time. That shit doesn't work.
It's true though. I mean, a lot of people do think that way. I think that it tends to be more of like a thought like, oh, this book has information. I guess it's similar to the way some people see therapy in a sense. It's like, I'm going to go into this therapy session or I'm going to read this book on personal development and it's going to tell me, the therapist is going to tell me how to get better. And the reality is that the best books on personal development and the best therapists don't tell you shit. It guides you on figuring out what the fuck that is for you.
Yeah.
And
that's why, go ahead.
Go ahead, Craig.
No, I was going to say, and that's why when Robert, you say getting 1% gooder every day to be 365% gooder at the end of the year is so important, because it does take time. Yeah. I mean, if you stop smoking, you can't just quit cold turkey.
Yeah, you can.
At least most people can't. I mean, okay.
Oh yeah,
but
Hannah
that's
did as well.
From the time that I met my wife, all while we were dating, when I proposed to her, and she said, I do. Then I said, your goal was to get married. Let's plan this as fast as we can so we can focus on your second goal, which is having children. And she said to me, if we're going to get married and start having kids, then I got to stop smoking. And I said, I think that's a great idea. And she never had another one.
Okay. And that's awesome. Right. But a lot of people, it takes them a while to stop smoking, to change the habit. And
they just have to find something that they would be focused on.
Exactly.
So if they said, well, listen, I want to stop smoking, then all you got to do is say, I'm going to be a marathon runner. I'd like to see you do both at the same time.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Exactly. How important is that to you?
Because see what happened to, I can see what happened to Terry. She said, my body has got to be the best it can be because I don't want to hurt my child.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you say it's so hard to quit.
Right. Now, let me ask you something based on that, Robert. And I'm sure you had to have the patience of a saint, because she had to go through whatever the withdrawals were to change the habit that she was doing. So yes, you can change that right then and there, but the physicalness of something that strong, that you had to help
I
her get through,
as
because
much as
she was changing her habit.
we all talk about uniqueness, it talks
Yes.
about, your uniqueness in this book. I
Yes.
think that everyone's addiction story is different.
Okay.
It's got to be to what made them change to, because I know, Sam, her father, instantaneously stopped smoking when they told him he had lung cancer. It was like it's weird where you can hear situations where people can hear one dramatic thing that emotionally impacts them so much that they just stop. And then you have other people that maybe because their DNA is unique and their environment's unique and the
Hmm.
people that they hang around, it's like people say, how fast does it take to become a multimillionaire? How long does it take, honestly, to make 100 million? How long does it take to make 200 million? One lottery ticket.
Right.
One lottery ticket. And for that unique individual that picked the right numbers in the right drawing, that fast.
Hmm.
So see, having the opposing thought that it takes forever and it's difficult to do, I just
I,
choose whatever thought that you want, because people get in this business all the
what's
time and say to me, "Oh my God, it's going to take me forever to do this." And I said, "Yeah, you're quoting Henry Ford. You're
Whether you
creating
think you
Henry
can.
Ford. Like
Yeah.
it's like, oh my God, it's going to take me forever to build a group of 1,000 people."
Yeah,
No,
I'd be like, if that's what you want, you know what I mean? Like, I
right?
think what's so interesting about how I think nowadays is if you said to me, hey, this person is going to smoke cigarettes their entire life, and it's going to kill them. And they're aware of that and they don't care. They just want to live their life the way they want to. I'd say go
Mhm.
for it.
Yeah,
That's
Terry.
how
Yeah,
different I am.
yeah.
Because like I
Terry's uncle got put on oxygen and smoked until he died. So you'd walk up to his
right.
porch and there was a sign on the porch that said oxygen, very flammable and explosive, no lighted material. And you walk in and he's
It
lighting a
smells like
cigarette
cigarettes.
while the oxygen going.
I mean, obviously that's dangerous to everyone else around him too, but I think it's one of those interesting things, right? Like you could try your best to try, and it goes back to you going, okay, so my mom, she had a goal, and her goal was to have children. And as we all know, smoking cigarettes and children really don't mix. So you need to stop smoking for that
Hey,
to
I
work.
turned out okay.
I don't know about that, but
Thank you, man.
I
Thank you.
know.
Like, why does he laugh all the time? Well, his mom smoked and drank while he was pregnant. He was pregnant.
But no, I think it's interesting because you really do have to have a want or a need to do anything in life, regardless if it's breaking a bad habit, breaking an addiction, any of those types of things.
Yeah,
I've been around people that struggle with certain things, and it's like the part of me that wants to help them is never gonna go away, but then at the same time, I now have this more rational side of me that goes, if you were in a position where you were doing something you wanted to do and it wasn't harming other people and someone disagreed what you did, would you stop doing it? Just if even if you didn't care about their opinion, would you just stop doing it?
yeah.
It's interesting because to say one thing's harmful and another is not, working in the oil fields may make you a lot of money, just as bad for you as smoking cigarettes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I could argue that it's worse.
Probably
Yeah.
was worse even further back then when there's less OSHA stuff
No
going on.
no restrictions whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah.
So you think about how humans work, right? And how we are. And you really have to have like a really big motivation to
Yeah.
change any form of habit. And people think
Easy,
that you
easy,
need,
easy to do, easy not to do.
yeah, they think that minimal amount of effort will work. And that's the interesting thing, is it's not the amount that you do. It's just that when you do it intentionally. It doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 5 minutes, but don't waste that 5 minutes not doing that thing intentionally and learning and doing what you planned on doing. Don't push yourself away from gaining a good habit at the thought that it's going to take a while. You know, it's just
Right. Matt, when you said that first statement, the first thought that popped in my mind is when someone requests an apology and then the person apologizes and then the person said you didn't do it sincerely.
right.
You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah, you didn't do it my way.
yeah, we all know that, you know, the intent in what we do things is really the deal. And people don't realize that everything's a process. Everybody's got this unrealistic expectation that they should see stuff right away. And you know, I injured myself so I made a decision. You guys all know that I did. And then I said, I'm just going to get on the rowing machine and I'm going to do a minute and I'm just going to keep increasing. And then what I did is I got to 16 minutes. And then when I went the next day to do 17 minutes, I decided to go all out for the last minute. And so I pushed myself too hard and I hurt my shoulder and I haven't been able to get on the rowing machine since. A little bit of a setback. I'm just being vulnerable. And I'm just sharing with you guys that, you know, so you get in the habit and then you make a mistake. You know what I mean? That's just a lesson. That's not a failure. I just want each and every one of you to know that if all of a sudden you make a decision to change something and create a good habit, is that, again, you got to do everything with a intention to do it with excitement, believe that it can happen, and just don't quit. Finish something. Don't be the person.
No, that's important too.
Yeah,
so important.
Don't stop being the person that has joined a million companies and a million courses and set an intent to build an audience a million times, and you keep stopping doing it. That's another habit.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think people are really taught that they need to seek inspiration, and I love that Steven Spielberg quote that I shared with you a while back, Dad. That one where he's like, what you actually want to be doing with your life never is a shout. It's always a whisper. It's always like, this is what you want to be doing. This is what you should be doing. It's never going to be like beating you over the head with it and going, hey, idiot, why aren't you doing this? It's very quiet. And it's interesting because the only way, if you believe what he's saying, the only way you can hear it is then if you listen. Right. And to listen, you have to intentionally sit down and think, who do I want to be? What do I want to be? What do I want to accomplish? What habits do I need to create to get me there? How incrementally can I work on these habits and replace the bad ones with the good ones? You know, you brought up smoking, and that's an interesting one because I see people, I see products all the time now advertised that legit replace the habit of smoking and give you the thing, but don't do any of like the bad shit, right? Like it's kind of like this thing that just gets the fidgeting aspect of smoking away. And for me, I don't smoke cigarettes, so it's like I don't know what it's like to be part of that. But I've been around smokers, you know, half my life probably. And I think it's clearly something that is hard to beat for most.
Yeah.
So, but exactly what you said, Dad, it's really the intention too. You really need a reason and want to have to quit anything. So you can make up a million excuses why not to. So
how much do you want to put into changing the habit that you have?
Did Hannah's aunt go back to smoking?
Of course. Well, I mean, she quit for like 2 days because, you know, I visit her, I love her and care about her. So I'm like, I'm being my pre-understanding self. This is years ago going, you need to stop doing what you want to do or whatever, right? It's bad for you, as if she doesn't know the ramifications for it. It's like, we always tend to think that people are oblivious to what they're doing. They're really not. Like most of the time, if they're deciding to do something, especially if they've done it for a while, it's like, it moves from oblivious to decision at some point, at
Yeah.
least in my mind, right? Like
Yeah.
you're actively deciding to be this way. And when you realize that and you just love people for who they are, right? My older brother has on and off smoked cigarettes and stuff, and I've dealt with that too. And I'm like,
Now he
I
just
wish he
now he just vapes all day.
right. Well, I think that's I don't know if that's better or whatever, and I'm not one to judge because guess what? I think he should do whatever he wants to do. But I I think the judgmental aspect came from a place of me going, I value your life in these ways and you're devaluing it. When the reality is that they value their lives quite a bit. That's why they're doing what they want.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting thing about people, and especially if you like actually observe people in the way that they are. It's like they tend to do shit that they kind of want to do. If you sit down and watch TV all the time and don't get any shit done, you did it because you wanted to.
Yeah.
So just admit that that's what you wanted to do. You didn't get involved in it and lost track of time or anything. You did everything that you did in your life because you kind of wanted to do it, right? And maybe you went, oh, this isn't for me. I should try this or that. But at the end of the day, I think the acceptance in that you get to do what you want to do is the tool that allows you to break a lot of those bad habits and implement good ones. Because then you go, this is what I want to do. I need this to have that happen.
Yep.
Great. I want to walk my dogs twice a day because they're corgis and they're nuts, right? I was used to walking them once a day. They're all over me by the end of the day because I have a puppy too, going like energy wise because I work inside. Let's go on a walk. Let's go on a walk. And there's so many times where I went, I'm tired. I don't want to do it. It's cold or I don't feel like doing it. And I didn't. Now I look forward to it. And it's a new habit that I have. Walking them twice. I'm seeing it better in them, their attitude, the way that they behave around other people. And I'm going, I should have done this a while ago. But it's that immediate thought that stopped, like it's interesting because if you put yourself there and go, oh, the outcome would be so great, you're really, like I said earlier, wrong most of the time. Like I could have expected it to be all this thing, right? Like now I'm doing all these things. I feel great about myself. I'm just happy I get out of the house and my dogs are happy.
Yeah.
I didn't add more to it or anything. I just allowed it to be what it is. And I think that that's very important too. So
Yeah, definitely it is. Just being encouraging, even if no one likes people. Again, how would you act if, and how would you feel if? I don't think that any of you like being reminded about the stuff that you didn't do that you knew you were supposed to do. So it's just like being loving and kind. And again, the only thing that I want for everybody is what I want for myself. And so, to have the majority of your audience grateful that you're there because you're making them smile. I guess that's a small price to pay, or a good price to pay, for people that think that I'm 70. You know what I mean? So, it's like, oh my God, if this guy was successful in the 80s, 70s and 80s, he must be like 71. He looks like he's 70.
You see, that's why most people quit doing this though.
Yeah.
Is because those things tend to keep people up and the positive aspects don't. And it's like, and then there's that aspect of you can't fix the way that you look. What can you change about the way that you look? Like you could dye your hair, you could have less gray in it. Okay. That's not going to change how old you are, and you're not 70. So what the fuck does that matter? Right.
But if I cared what they thought.
Right. Yeah. That's really the truth of it is everything that
being
I just
comfortable with
said
who you are and what you do and what you are.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Because I love this quote. There's this like really big streamer that I watch. And he had this quote and he said, because someone's like, I want to start doing streams myself. I want to start making content, but I can't take the negative comments. And he's like, the easiest thing for me to do is I just started thinking, you remember that thing that people used to say? Like, dream that, or look at everyone and imagine they all have underwear on or whatever, so you feel more comfortable in your skin. He's like, I just assume anyone that's talking shit to me, I just assume that they're standing in front of me and saying it. And when I see the way that they look visually in my mind, I go, why the hell would I ever listen to this person?
I just feel bad for him.
I not even that, why would I feel bad for him? they're being disgusting. I don't need to feel bad for them. I'm not their savior. So, you know, like, I think me and you are different in that way because
Yeah,
you do believe people can be better. I believe that people can be better, but they have to choose that. If
yeah.
they're gonna choose to be shit, then that's what they are. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
that's
they're
just how they're
definitely
acting.
they're
So
definitely they're everyone in life when you ask them why they do the things they do, it's all a payoff. We constantly are just animals, whether people like to hear that or not, and we're constantly avoiding pain and seeking pleasure.
yeah, you know what I love?
Yep.
I have this tool. I have this tool that shows next to every person's name in a comment on YouTube how many subscribers they have. And I love when I look at that stat when you see negative comments and they have 2 or 1 subscriber. It's like no one's listening to you
Yeah,
anyway. Why would I?
Mhm.
yeah.
What's your opinion matter to me? It matters 0 to me. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing
I
because there's
like
not
that.
a single person
Yeah.
that's not gonna get that.
I like that statement too. I believe that I said it yesterday in a video where, people that are doing better than you are usually not criticizing you.
No.
They're too busy.
They're too busy.
That's
It's like
very true.
when you're making an impact like Corky is, and he keeps seeing it grow, and he keeps seeing it grow, and he keeps seeing it grow. Um, I just told him, I said, this is the time that you got to lean in to allowing that whatever blessings are coming onto you are coming for a reason. You got to stay focused on what is giving you the most joy in your life, or you feel you're making the biggest difference. Because in my life, I want to focus on the art of fulfillment instead
Mhm.
of trying to constantly get advancements that no one gives a shit about. It's pretty funny, isn't it? It's like, he's like,
Well,
hey,
it's a self-made goal,
I,
so
I've, I've
it's
won 3
accomplishable.
Oscars, and it's like, and that and $2.70 will get you a Starbucks. It's like maybe
That's
maybe
You
it's
make a
six.
good point with that though, Dad. You do because we everything that exists for us, we attach value to. And
Yeah,
the value that we attach to it is how much we're interested in it.
yeah.
So, if you win what used to be the Winston Cup, I don't know what it's called now, right?
Just
But
called the cup. They gave
just
up
called the
giving the
cup.
name
Yeah.
to
It's
people.
done and it's over with. Anyway, if you win that and you are a fan of racing, that's something that if you walked into a room of other people that were race car drivers or a bar in that area, they'd go, that's that guy. But if
Yeah,
you walked into a bar in LA or something, they probably wouldn't even notice you.
they
And that's
wouldn't.
the difference. But if a movie star walked in LA, everyone would notice them. Right. And that might be the
Yeah.
case in some other places.
It-
But
Again,
like,
depending on who they are, because there's everyone watches a different genre. You know what I mean?
it's,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
it really comes back to, you know, if you don't know what you want in life, if you don't know what you want in life, then how are you going to ever figure out things that you should do on a daily basis that are going to get you to what you want?
Mic drop.
Anil said to me today, he made me feel good. He just went, every time I connect back with you, you're just the simplest person. And I went, and he says, I believe in by saying that you take that as a very high compliment, because we've been programmed by whatever you want to call it. All of us have been programmed to just being totally out of control, of thinking that we have the ability to control anything. That is just the polar opposite.
Is that interesting? Like, where's that come from? Because
Right.
it's such a human thing that I almost feel like it fits in the same area as boredom and other ones, right? Like
Totally.
when I take
Totally.
a step back and start to look at myself and other human beings, when I'm bored, whether I'm depressed, anxious, bored, any of these things, I think all of these are just signs in the brain that you need to be looking at something. You need to be looking
Yeah,
internally for something.
Mhm.
And if you're bored in your life and you're going, every single day, I'm just doing the same shit. I'm just so bored of my life. That's your mind telling me you're not giving me anything to be interested in.
yeah.
And it's interesting because when you sit down and you like read books like The Untethered Soul or other things like this, you start to realize that the mind and the brain are two separate things to a certain extent. The mind is you, the spirit, whatever you want to call it. Certain religions call it different things. The mind, the spirit, your core. And then your brain is what runs this meat bag right here. And the brain's goal is to make sure this meat bag does not die. Right?
Yes.
Your mind's goal is to consistently figure out what is and is not for you, right? Because that's where all the other things lie. It's not like you can't have chemical reactions and have these elements.
Doesn't make me feel good. Doesn't make me feel good. Makes me feel good.
But when's the last time you dove into your mind instead of your brain? Is what I would say. Like, when's the last time you stopped thinking about I'm anxious, all these things, and started thinking about why, like in your mind, why that's the case, why you're bored, not in your brain going, oh, I'm bored, I need to go watch another TV show so I'm not bored, or I need to play video games or this or that. It's like maybe your brain's bored because you're not fulfilling that creative need that it hungers for so much that you may have used to. The whisper. Exactly.
Yeah, and because none of us listen to the whisper or know that it's there and focus on the whisper, then that allows all the other distractions in the world, because all distractions are equal. See, a lot of people want to justify why one thing that's a distraction in their life is more important than something else. That's where we get the bullshit of our lying to ourselves, sabotaging ourselves by going, listen, family's more important than money. Okay, since family's so important to you, tell me how much time you spend with your family and how you're making their lives better. You said you picked one. You're going to abandon money and you're going to focus on your family. Let's get them together and find out how much you're giving to them. Because you're not doing that either, liar. You see what I mean? It's like we are so good at just constantly. The other habit I would say, other than self-talk for me, is just this constant mentality of me talking myself out of every fucking great thing for me. And you don't have to be smart to know what's good for you. You see what I mean? It takes no skill to go, maybe I should do this instead of this. Maybe this forming a habit of meditation on a daily basis, or reading a couple of pages in a book, or watching something inspirational. Maybe if I just plug that in instead of watching a bunch of women scream at each other and call their names and flip tables and pull each other's hair. It's just like, you see it's like what we're willing. We're just this consistency. I'm so pissed off that me being bullied to myself because I consistently entertain these thoughts of stuff that I could do that are not doing anything in my life for the people I love.
Yeah. I was going to say to you, I was going to do exactly what you would do to me, but I was going to be like, have you ever thought of what it would be like if you didn't have to do that? Have you ever thought of what that would feel like to not have to feel that way, to not have to live in that spot so consistently or inconsistently, where you can't tell when you're there and when you're not there, or certain things might trigger you to put you in that state? And it's like, really,
I know the things that make me feel good, though. I know the joy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Out of things, because again, why everybody always says, "Geez, Robert, you seem to always be happy and positive." It's because most of the day, if not saying a majority of the day, I'm pretty much doing what I fucking want to do.
Right.
It's taking me 61 years to get here.
Of changing habits and doing the things that you want to do to get you to this point.
Yeah, as part of those habits are focusing on people that don't deserve your time, that are not interested in participating in their own rescue, that you shouldn't be pissed off at and judging.
And learning how to say, okay, that's it. I don't need that.
Matt's seen me hit millionaire a year status many times. And it's like, all of a sudden, it's like, okay, so I make $1 million a year. Big deal. Honestly, I'm telling you, every one of you, it's like big fucking deal. If you don't feel like you're fulfilled and you're not giving impact to something, then what is it? And I still at this age have a tendency of spending too much time focusing on things that don't make me feel good. I just want to be more aware that, wait a minute, Robert, you're not focused on the right shit again. You know what I mean? It's like, get back
The
over
mind
here.
brain thing.
Get, get,
Right.
get back over here. And it's like, I guess that's the thing that we'll consistently try to master throughout our whole life.
The
Yeah.
shiny
No, I'm
object,
gonna
the
say I'm not gonna
squirrel
get to that
getting
end.
distracted.
I read a few books in my life that made me like accept that that's never gonna go away, and that was for me like a very pivotal moment in my personal
Yeah,
development. That it's okay that my mind does that. It's just not okay that I don't do anything about it.
right.
That's the part that's not okay. It's like, okay, yeah, your mind's gonna think negative. What's not okay is to let it stay there. That's
Right.
not that's within your control. You can change that,
Mhm.
even if it's getting your shit on and going on a walk and getting out of that negative zone, being grateful. Like you said, Dad, you wake up, you're grateful, you have gratitude. It definitely helps a lot
Yeah.
get those thoughts away, but I don't think they'll ever really go away. And I think
Well,
that they
and
always
the,
come
and the
back in
thing
different
that,
ways. So it's
yeah,
Well,
like,
for
it's a
the
matter
thing,
of accepting it too,
yeah,
because it's something that you've worked on. And if it happens, then it's like, okay, all right, hold on, hold on, hold on.
yeah,
And how you react to that too. Yes, it's a good habit. Yes, it's a bad habit. So, how do you react to the bad habit, or at least what you think is the bad habit, or how you
mhm,
react to the good habit? And do you accept it for what it is? And then all of a sudden you get that odd thought. It's like, all right, you know what? Fine. Don't fight it. Just deal with it. Let it get through. Acknowledge it. Move on.
yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Untethered Soul, if you guys haven't read that book, it's really good. But it has this one concept where it says those thoughts are like traffic, right? A car going by. If you have a car going by and you're staring forward and you know where you're going, the car will go by your vision and you forget it's there and you walk forward. But if
Mhm.
a car is going by and you watch it the whole entire time, you can watch it as far as it goes. And that's your problems. That's what you're allowing your mind to do. You're allowing your mind to see that car, and that car drives up and you see it, but instead of letting it pass by with the rest of the traffic and just going on your way, you're watching that car. You're not moving forward. The light's green. You can go, you can walk, but you're not. You're watching that car going.
yeah,
And
Right.
and some people it could be multiple. That one goes and then you focus on another one and then half your day is gone, right? And you
right,
went, "Why am I so exhausted?" Well, you spent all day focusing on all the negative problems or the things that you feel like you really need to fix. And if you don't fix them and you don't get to them, then you'll somehow have made a mistake in this life that's yours and yours alone, that you
right,
make the rules for. You're not a mistake. You're only a mistake if you choose that you are. So it's not that's really the choice that you have. You have the choice to focus on that traffic or to ignore it. And the more I see things that way, and like you said, Dad, catch my mind and go, that's traffic.
yep.
Stop focusing on
Mhm.
traffic. The
Yeah,
easier my life is. So
the whole thing about, I think one of the things that, again, everything that you're doing when you read it again, you're not the same person every time you reread something. And
yeah.
so, it's like you pull stuff out all the time. And the biggest thing I think in this book of proclaiming your uniqueness
Yes.
is when you can finally get to this point in life that everything that you look at that is wrong with you is now a superpower.
Yep.
you know, because I used to look at all the things, not having parents, being dyslexic, being a felon. There was a lot of these things, that being a divorced, there was a whole list of stuff that I could put together on making me less valuable. And when I was able to flip the paradigm on every one of those things, saying that it was my superpower. So this allows you again to sort of find out what you want in your life, and don't focus, in my opinion, on everything. You want to find out the thing that gives you the most joy and the most fulfillment. And I'm telling you right now, if you find that thing, and you will find that thing if you keep dwelling in and asking for it, then what it's going to do is it's going to make you above average and whatever the hell that thing is. And you guys have heard me say this many a times, whether it's stacking plastic cups or throwing darts or frickin' sharpening pencils, or using that pencil to draw a cat for you today. If you watch my videos, you'll see people that get joy and fulfillment at really what they know, what they want, and then they excel at that. They excel at that. There's this guy that I know that makes over $1 million on YouTube. And guess what he does? He travels the world and he walks up to girls and says this in English. What do you think is the sexiest language? And it doesn't make a difference what girl he's talking to. She says Arabic, French, Chinese, Mandarin,
Spanish,
Italian. This guy immediately just starts talking to him in that language. And you see every one of the women just go, what? I've only seen one woman that he didn't impress. And she said, why? Do you know how to speak Russian? And he talked Russian, and she talked Russian back to him. Do you know Portuguese? And he talked to her and she talked back to him. It was like 7 languages in a row that she talked back to him fluently. So she's going, I know your deal. I know your deal. And we all know this. And I think this is really, I want you to think about this. Every one of you just need to make a decision to do the thing that gives you the most fulfillment. You know why everybody quits almost everything they do? Is because that wasn't it.
I'm actually I'm an advocate for that too.
Not only wasn't that it, but we changed. Oh my God. We actually changed as human beings. So I think I've shared this on another video. You know, Matt decided to do something great for me on Father's Day. They don't tell me what they're doing. And they took me to a car show.
Right.
And I was going, I said this, Matt, thank you so much for being so thoughtful. You know, I remember spending days at these places. And every once in a while, it was still there where I'd walk up to a vehicle and Matt's like, what the hell is that? And I just like, blah, 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 you know, talking in a totally different language. And it was something that I feel like in my life, I made a pretty good check mark. Mm-hmm. If you talk about me and automobiles, whether it's sponsoring, racing them, building them, or putting a deal together, I have checked every frickin' box that I know I wanted to check over there. Isn't that crazy? So it's now turn the chapter, go to a new chapter, and start clicking other things off. But my whole thing is again, if you find something that excites, I was telling my wife today that watching our views on our YouTube channel go like this, and then go bam, and then go bam, and then go bam, was only one decision of Matt's. Only one. And he made the decision of saying, you know, I see a lot of things conspiring together in the universe to really give me a slot of what I'd like to play with. So I need, not want, I need to be one of the people that are talked about in this circle as this keeps turning into something that everybody else is scared about. I would just like to be mentioned that when someone says AI and someone says, talk about AI, have you ever heard Matthew Hollis talk about AI and the shit he's doing with it? See, it's just that. And so I've seen a lot of things change with the Hollis organization only because Matt made a decision to spend a time getting better at it. You know, Matt's not going to say that he's the most knowledgeable person in AI right now. And Matt's not going to say, listen, I'm the person that's making the most money with AI right now.
I
But
I am the most knowledgeable person with AI, and I do make the most money with AI. I'm just, just for the record. No,
yeah,
I'm just
so
kidding.
so if you, I hope that each and every one of you, as you watch this today, this podcast, is that I just believe that until you know what you want, and you don't know what you want until you figure out what you don't want. And I would just ask you to throw caution to the wind. Who gives a shit what anybody says? And figure out a bunch of things through lessons, not failures, of all the shit that you're just not willing to do. I think that every one of you are saying, if I said, listen, one habit was me reading this book, it emotionally changed me and gave me belief that I was a miracle. And so when it asked me to do it and I did it, that might be what it was for me. I've said to Matt many, many, many times, I said, do you notice how many people have their favorite book, or the book that they thought really made the aha moment, the pop in their mind, where now they didn't see themselves as ordinary, they'd seen themselves as extraordinary? And they're like, listen, I don't even have to have a very small piece of this freaking multi-trillion-dollar pie. I mean, my God, you know what I mean? You think of abundance and going, listen, so when they talk about AI in the near future being the first $1 zillion industry, I don't know what's after $1 trillion, but it's like we already got $1 trillion companies. It's like there's going to be some zillion
Yeah,
dollar,
humans always need like a context for things. So finances are like a good way to gauge whether or not something's doing well.
like having
Yeah,
100 million active users, right?
it ends up being really, really really interesting, because as things grow, right? I'm thinking more, and when me and Craig and my dad have conversations about where we want to take this channel and what we want to do with the podcast and stuff in the future, my thoughts always come down to what can we give that is currently lacking,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's heart, whether it's inspiration, whether it's understanding or care, what can we give that's lacking right now? And I think
Find a
that,
need and fill it.
yeah, and so
Bingo.
like I think if we can facilitate a community that brings those things to people, especially in a time that's very difficult, um times are not going to get, easier. I love AI. I think that it's gonna revolutionize the way we do everything, but I think, and I've said this multiple times, I think the road to get there is not exactly it's pretty bumpy, let's be real.
Mhm.
So
But it
I,
all is. It
it's
all is.
it's an interesting time to live, because I'm sitting here, I'm like, I watch Elon Musk talk about AI with Joe Rogan on his podcast, and he's like, I gotta go because there's an AI summit in the morning, so I have to fly all the way to London to this AI summit. Then I see him sit down with the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and tell him, he's like, it's very hard every day to wake up and go to Tesla and SpaceX and motivate myself when I know if I just wait a year or two, AI will just do all this shit anyway. When you hear somebody like that say something like that, and you start to realize that we really like live in one of the most unique times in human history. And I'm not talking about capitalizing on it financially. Like, I get that that's exciting, but what I think AI will do is it will allow human beings to capitalize on one of the most important things that makes us unique, and that's our creativity and love for things, for one another. It could be knitting, it could be anything, but our creativity and our love for art, it could be martial arts, it could be a sport. Our creativity and love for these things are things that everyone that isn't aligned with those things will need to be aligned with, or else they're going to just have nothing left. Everyone that's career driven right now, 10 years down the line, careers are going to look a lot different. And that was what they talked about. That's what
Right.
Elon
Mhm.
Musk said, right? In the interview with the UK Prime Minister, he's like, the biggest goal moving forward, and I've said this, is getting human beings back to being human beings again, and being less robotic and less caring to one another, because we're so
You
less
mean more
caring to one
caring.
another, more caring, right? And so now at this stage, it's like, how do we re-educate human beings not to be so competitive and destructive to one another? How do we make a platform for that?
including themselves.
Well, that's one of the biggest ones, right? Because I feel like people don't normally do bad shit unless if they're already destructive to themselves. It's
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
trauma inflicts trauma. So like
Yep.
that's the way it tends to go. And like I said, the number one thing that I think will be the hard part for humanity through the growth of AI, and then when general intelligence is gotten, is that that consistent trauma that we carry from generation to generation, that we inflict on one another, and that we do without understanding. I'm hoping that as technology gets better and takes up all out of the busy work, that we'll have a lot more time to do the things we talked about in this podcast,
Yeah.
which is
It
ponder
is
those thoughts.
creating a habit now to make sure that when we're interacting and connecting with other human beings, that we make them feel good.
Yeah, make ourselves feel good as well. It's
Yeah.
important to connect with one
Just,
another and to
just
respect
believing.
one another.
Yeah, and going with the intent of knowing that, God, we've already done a half a year of podcasts. I can remember like it was yesterday when we thought, should we do a podcast? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I just know that each and every one of you, if you focus on the art of fulfillment and you really, really worked on that, like Corky has, you know what I mean? Like we're doing, you need to find something in your life that is intentful, that gives you joy, that you can learn to start being gooder at. And again, don't get into it thinking that this is going to be something that I might be doing 2-3 years from now. Just, just get into it knowing that as things change, you can change. As the world evolves, you can evolve. And you just got to keep doing that and focusing on the right stuff. And I just tell people all the time, it's like it's mind-boggling to me that everyone uses this and is taught to use this, and no one understands how to use this, or
Well,
even
it's like a lost art.
use our gut. You know what I mean? It's like people are constantly going, what should I be? What should I do moving forward? What habit should I focus on? Uh, that's a discussion that you need to be having with whatever you believe in,
Mm-hmm.
including yourself. That should not be something that someone's telling you.
Yeah,
So
I
I didn't
yeah.
finish. I didn't finish when I was talking to Matt that when you study all the successful people in the world and you find out the thing that inspires them, So when you hear Spielberg and Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, that they all had one thing in common: they snuck in to movie theaters. It's like, what? Do you think that the security was that tough? Or do you think there was a group of people that always knew if someone was going to go that far out of their way to be inspired and loved that much, that who give a shit? I don't believe, I think that there's a lot of people that watch things happen and people go, I don't believe that that could possibly happen. Someone's going to get caught. Someone's going to get in trouble. You know what I mean? It's these constant people that are trying to find the thing that makes them feel the most worthy and fulfilled. And they're just willing to get better at it. Just get gooder and gooder and gooder at it. And then as you keep trusting that gut and trusting your heart, then all of a sudden you'll learn that you need to focus on the people that are seeking your voice, that are crossing your path at that certain time in in your life. And it's sad that people come in and leave in a season. You know what I mean? But you're just part of their life, or the part of the life that you're supposed to be there for. And you don't get messed up. You don't get disgruntled. You just say, I got to keep doing what I need to do. I need to continue to be fulfilled. Like Matt said, I don't believe that everybody that watches this video live or recorded, if whatever I'm doing could possibly not be what you're supposed to be doing.
I was gonna say probably not.
You know what I mean? So,
Mm-hmm.
so there was a small portion of my life where I didn't know where I wanted to go. So I'm human. And so instead of trying to follow what I thought, I would follow somebody else's vision and help them. But time will always expose you or promote you. So even though I picked wrong companies and wrong owners to work for at the time that I did, I still accomplished what I was supposed to accomplish with them when I was there.
Right.
And that just got me to the next level. And that just got me to the next level. And that just got me to the next level. And so, yeah, I can look back and say, oh my God, I've been with 19 companies and 18 owners F me. You know what I mean? They screwed me, you know? It's so ridiculous that there's a group of people out there. One of the people that used to be with us, I thought it was funny. He posted on Ted's post, and he's going like, "Hey, you know," he goes, "I'm liking the best company ever." And his response was, "Didn't you say that about your last company?"
That's funny.
And it's like,
Yeah, I mean, things have changed, you know, it's the best one now. So
yeah, the point is
For
not
them.
to beat him up. It's just that, you know, you're constantly leaving a group of people that you're passionate about something else at one time in your life, and you're talking about that passion and what you believed in at that moment. Just stop trying to drag the dead bodies that don't want to participate in their own rescue with you, and make a decision. Matt's watched me do this throughout my life, where all of a sudden I just make a decision to a Ben Franklin close, drawing a piece of paper, writing the pros and cons on both, you know, sides as I draw it down the middle. And Matt's watched me go, we're not doing this shit anymore. Delete everything. And Matt's like, Dad. And it's like,
yeah,
I would,
you know how but I've done that myself though. It's not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like listen, anyone that's known me long enough, right? I used to do film reviews, and now being back on YouTube, right? Like watching the algorithm, I go back on some of those videos and some of them have 1,000, 10,000 views. And I was going, if I would have just kept this up,
Oh my God.
imagine where that YouTube channel would be by now. Imagine the opportunities. But then I catch myself and I go, yeah, but then maybe you wouldn't have met your wife. Maybe this wouldn't have. It's
Yeah.
like the
Yes.
butterfly effect. I was where I was supposed
Yep.
to be at the right time. So like I really think that it is really, really cool when you I don't know, when you allow yourself the time to like reflect and accept life to a certain extent.
I
It's like
wonder how many
the
people.
closer I get to my midlife crisis,
Yeah.
the more I'm diverting. I'm getting the water out of the boat as I'm sailing there. I'm definitely going, I don't want to hit my midlife and be going, why didn't I do enough? Because I already feel that way. I felt that way when I was 25 too.
Yeah.
That's never going to go away. So I've already accepted. Doesn't matter if I'm 50, 80, 100, I'm still going to be going, God, you didn't do enough. Why didn't you do enough?
It's crazy.
But
It's really crazy how programmed we are. You know what I mean? It's when you said that, Matt, the phrase that kept popped in my mind was 7-year itch. You know, you got these
right.
people that not only talk about the midlife crisis, but every 7 years things got to change.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I got to reinvent myself every 7 years. And, you know, then you get a younger girlfriend and you just keep doing that. You know, it's like
Yeah,
everybody knows who I'm talking about. It's like, wait, you're 28, you're done.
yeah, living in like Orange County, you see me and Hannah have this game. We'll like go out to dinner and this dude will sit down and then this girl will come over and she'll be in a nice dress and she'll be in her 20s. And we both look at each other and we go, daughter or sugar daddy. Or sugar mom. And within 2 seconds, wherever the hands land, whether they land on the thighs, whether they land around, I'm like, boom, we bet against each other. We're like, I was right.
Yeah, it's
or you know, it's like
yeah,
not that
and
they're I mean, it is what it is, but that's not my journey, right?
So we talked about I don't know if you know, you got me to scream out my bad habits that I do.
Yeah, I think we're done now. So
Yeah, well, one of the things that I was thinking though is that again, that's the thing that I think is so important to talking about. Everyone that's on here, I want for you what I want for myself. And each and every day, I love the reflection of me just consistently checking things off. That I know that I'm becoming a better person and all around, you know, just constantly finding the things that that poke me, that trigger me, that make me react in a way that doesn't make me feel good, to become aware of those things, find out why they're here and not here in my heart and my gut, and ask the difficult questions. Now that you're aware of that, I'm gonna think before I react when I get triggered. And then it's not gonna be anything anymore. And then I'm gonna laugh and actually say, there was one time when Matt used to crack his knuckles while we were watching TV, and I would lose my shit. You know what I mean? Matt knows why he was cracking his knuckles when he was doing it. It was only to irritate his father. That it
Yep,
was
that was the reason I did it.
And you sort of think about,
I was a
wow,
teenager,
and
so
to think that
like,
Matt
you just
thinks
gave
that,
me a way to troll you, so I'm gonna do it now. No,
yeah. So I think your goal in life is to find out the people that trigger you, that make you not feel good, and make them become creative to find other things that they can trigger you on. Because you got to get at that place where you're constantly in a feel good space. Not that you're going to be able to be perfect at it, but just developing that good habit. So I thought I would finish off, and maybe you guys can say a couple words. But when you really think of someone, what if they said this to you? The question, another question for you guys is, what are some things that you do consistently that make you feel better about yourself and that you're proud of?
Craig.
Because think of this. If someone said that to you and you could keep rattling them off, holy shit. Holy shit. Where someone says, hey, what are some things that you do every day? Well, I pray every day. Oh my God, I wish I could do that. And then I meditate every day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, 2 times. And then I meditate all night. I got an 8-hour meditation. And then, well, what else you do? I listen to something personal development every day. I contact with new people every day. I'm constantly creating content on my YouTube channel every day. I'm constantly telling the people that I love in my life how much I love and appreciate them. They're a list in my head. I say their names by name, and I'm thankful for them, not only to whoever created them, but I also need them to know that I love and I appreciate them. Like all the watchers and all our inner circle. It's like, so now all of a sudden it's like, wow, you pretty much listed to me where it seems like you're in a pretty good energy state and frequency all day long. Yeah, don't forget, I listen to a meditation all night too. What if you could rattle off a bunch of shit that was no longer shit, but you described your entire day that you designed on purpose on a piece of paper and you were fucking living it? Yeah. So I went from people that buy at rental places and Finger Hut with no banking account and having my electricity cut off, yeah, to the guy that's here today. And I got a lot of work to do. So, Matt, Craig,
Well, I'm gonna throw it to Craig because I've already talked a bunch, so I'll just
Well,
say the last word.
Okay. I just, I agree. It's a matter of taking what you like, what you want, and working with it. And yeah, you got to, if you want to change that outlook, change that demeanor, change that habit that you have, then you just got to do it. And you got to, I know I've said it many, many times, you got to give yourself grace as you go through it and know, like you've been sharing, Robert, both you and Matt, actually, if this is what you want, if this is going to make you feel better, if this is going to make you move forward, then do it and just go for it. Do or do not. There is no try. Think outside the box with where you're at. And if you want to get to point B, okay, fine. It's not maybe a straight line, but you're still moving in that direction and you keep doing it. And yes, celebrate your wins. celebrate the good things that you do. Like you were saying just now, Robert, I mean, I will admit I've changed many things that I've used to do, and I'm a work in progress. Absolutely. We all are works in progress. And so, the gooder and gooder that we get every single day, I when I go to bed at night, I do say, okay, what are a couple of things that made me feel good today? Did I say I love you to somebody that I love? Did I say thank you very much to a person who went out of their way to help me? Maybe I forgot. Oh, you know what? I'm going to say that. I'm going to try to remember to do that. Or no, I will remember to do that from now on. I know that one of the habits that I did change, just to share with everybody, it was very impactful for me that when my dad passed away, because I had only spoken to him a week before, the last word that I said to him, last words I said to him were, I love you. And I have been making it a habit to say it to my family and my close friends. Love you. And I'm getting a little teary-eyed. I'm sorry.
Hey,
You know what?
It's okay.
It makes me feel better.
hell yeah.
And it makes me feel more connected with others.
Makes me feel better when you tell me that.
But it's a matter of going through and doing it. And, if you want to change. It's there. And just do it. You got to do it.
Beautiful.
Great
No.
podcast, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, I don't have much else to share, like I think what you shared was beautiful, Craig, and Dad, you, of course. I appreciate you guys so much. As far as this topic goes, I feel like we really did share quite a bit on it. So
Yeah.
I just love and appreciate you guys,
love and
and love and
appreciate
appreciate
you.
everybody here that's been watching our videos. And we got a lot of cool stuff coming. Always got more cool stuff coming. So stay tuned for that.
Coming. The future's coming, so there's a bunch of shit coming.
Yep. Where's the shades? Because the future is so bright. We got to put those shades on.
Who's going to that eclipse next year, by the way?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Down in Texas, April 2024.
I'm gonna be there.
Ah.
Hey,
I'm going.
Matt.
I already booked the me and Hannah
Matt,
booked our place.
Yeah, Matt, Hannah, and all of us were at the very best place that you could see it on the last total eclipse.
I know. I'm like, okay, I'm
That's
addicted
right.
now. No, it just so happens that it lands very, very close to Hannah's birthday, so it's like perfect.
Oh,
So
happy birthday, huh?
yeah, yeah. It's like, check this out. Well, I love and appreciate you guys. I'm gonna throw it over to Craig.
Yep, Craig, close us out.
Close us out. Thank you guys so much.
Love you,
Bless
man.
you guys. Thank you. Love you both very
Thank
much.
you to the watchers and the replayers. I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you very, very much. Okay, so you can follow Robert on YouTube at roberthollis.com/YouTube, Instagram at instagram.com/official Robert Hollis, and TikTok at tiktok.com/@real Robert Hollis. Please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and share it with others. It will help us grow our community and reach those with ears to hear. Our schedule is normally every day, actually, at noon Pacific. Sunday through Friday, we have Going Live with Robert, where he shares personally one-on-one with everybody. Then there's on Saturdays, the amazing AMAs, Ask Me Anything with Robert Hollis, where you get to actually ask him a question and he will answer it for you in person. And then, of course, we have our podcast that you're listening to and watching right now. How do you know that? Every Wednesday starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, and then on Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific. If you are part of the Inner Circle, which you can join by clicking the button down here at the bottom, the join button, or going to roberthollis.com/join, become part of the Inner Circle. And we go into more depth with things, personal development, and it is amazing to see some of the breakthroughs that take place every Thursday at 3 p.m. But you got to be part of the Inner Circle to join us for that. Thank you, and shout out to our executive producer, Matt Hollis. Matt, Wow. Bless you. Thank you so very much for being our foundation. Of course, Robert, it's an amazing thing when we get together with you and you get to share with us your experiences, your feelings, your guidance, your mentorship. We love you. We appreciate you. And we got to thank you for joining us every single time, because without you, we wouldn't be doing this. And we appreciate the fact that you are a part of our journey, that our adventure that we have, and helping us to go to the next level so that we can help you. Until next time, this is Craig Jackman. Please be good to yourselves, be cash. And until next time, bye bye.